What's up, Bills Mafia? I got your players whose stock went up and whose went down following the Buffalo Bills win over the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. But before we get to that, let's get to that intro.
This is PZ Music.
Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I always forget to tell you. Well, Bills Mafia, I got the players whose stock went up and whose went down following the Buffalo Bills 14-9 win over the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. Whew, that was an ugly win. All right, let's get this thing going. Shout out to Bills Wire for creating this article. All right, here we go. All right, first up, stock down. Josh Allen. I don't agree with this. Allen did not have the sharpest game on Sunday night against the Giants. While he ultimately led the Bills to victory, Allen had some moments that were less than ideal. And one of those instances result in an interception. In the end, Allen did what he had to do to keep Buffalo in the game, but he most likely would want some of the plays that he made back. Yeah, no doubt about it. It wasn't Allen's, most perfect game in the world. He definitely, this isn't one he's gonna remember, right? But I don't think this was the worst game, and I don't think this is a stock down. Allen went 19-30 for 169, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Quarterback rating 86.7. Once again, I don't think this was the worst performance of Josh Allen's career or anything like that. And I don't think this deserves a stock down. Did he make mistakes? Sure, he did. The interception, by the way, was just a good play on the defense. Sometimes you got to tip your cap to the defense for making a good play. And the linebacker tipped that ball and made a good play on it. I mean, and it led to an interception. So I don't know if that was a poor decision by Josh Allen. It just might have been a better play by the defense, and they get paid to make plays. So, other than that, I thought, Allen's decision making was good. I thought some throws were a little off, no doubt about it. The one to Dawson Knox that would have sealed the deal was a little low. However, Dawson Knox should have still came up with that ball. It did hit him in the hands. It actually rolled on his chest. He had the opportunity to catch the ball, and he's getting paid like a top 10 tight end in the NFL. Top tight ends make those catches. Not every pass is going to be perfect, and that one was not perfect, but it was definitely catchable. So I don't really necessarily blame Josh Allen on that. I think that was more on Dawson Knox, for not catching that ball. But overall, I thought Josh Allen played well. I would say no stock up, no stock down for Josh Allen this game. I think it's neutral. So I got to disagree with Bill's Wire on this one. All right, next up, stock down, James Cook. Now, this, by the way, I read this. This is an error. It has to be an error because they gave him praise. So I think they meant stock up. So after being shut down by the Jaguars in week 5, Cook bounced back with a solid performance against a tough Giants defense that gave Buffalo trouble all game long. This game was a defensive slugfest, but Cook still found creases in the defense when he needed to in order to rip off some big runs. So yeah, like clearly they meant stock up. And I agree with that. Was it Cook's best performance? No. But Cook still ran well. 14 carries, 71 yards. He averaged 5.1. He had a long of 14. I felt like once again, we got the running game going late. That's all about the man upstairs, Ken Dorsey, who's getting these guys, Cook and Murray and Harris, using them late, too late. And you got to get these guys going a little bit earlier. There was one thing I did like from Ken Dorsey in this game, and it was something that I mentioned on our Friday Night Lights podcast, which was I wanted to see Murray um, out there first. So I wanted him to be lead back to start the game. Now, guys, that doesn't mean I want Latavius Murray to be RB1. I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is have Murray get in there early on the first couple series, use him, obviously, run the ball with him, break down a little bit of that defensive line, whoever we're going against, then sprinkle in James Cook going forward, and then have James Cook start to get going when that defensive line's already starting to get broken up. And then you could run more play action sets with James Cook out there as well. The problem with James Cook right now, his biggest problem is pass protection. He's not good at pass protection. It shows. Go back in this game, he whiffed on a pass block. It was bad. He's just a little bit undersized, and he's still trying to learn that technique as well. Also, hitting the holes. Um, he's done a better job, but this is why I feel like we need to use Murray a little bit more because Murray can soften that up a little bit for him, that defensive line, and make it a little bit more easier for Cook to shed off some of these tacklers because early on, Cook is not good with that. He's a little bit light as far as weight goes, running in between the tackles. So I did like that from Ken Dorsey. I'm glad that he listened to me. Because Ken Dorsey and this Bills coaching staff, they come on here all the time, listen to Mafia Sports Report, take my advice on this plan. But I did like that. I did. I didn't like the fact that that Ken Dorsey went away from the run when it was working early on. Latavius Murray busted out I believe like a 10-yard run, 12-yard run, something like that. So Murray was 12 carries, 45 yards. He averaged 3.8, and he had the 12-yard carry. So yeah, it was a 12-yard carry. That was his longest run. But yeah, the 3.8 isn't impressive, but that's okay because we know what he is capable of doing. He is more of your power back. The guy that like I said, that could soften up that defensive line for James Cook, who's a faster back, younger back. And I hope that they use that method moving forward. Will they? Who knows? Ken Dorsey, one week it's something different. This offense has no identity, and I really hope that he sees that this is the way to use these running backs. Because I just don't think James Cook is your cowbell type running back. He wasn't in Georgia. He's not going to be here. He's a little undersized, but he's still a pretty good running back once he gets going. But you also got to give him the carry. So as you can see here, when Ken Dorsey started using the running backs more, Cook had the 14 carries, Murray had the two. I'm sorry, Murray had 12. Allen had 2 carries, and Harris had the one unfortunate carry. That got him injured. By the way, not shout out, but a quick update on Damian Harris just came across my phone. He's doing well. Um, you know, he said, "Thank God it's like a neck strain or something like that." So he's going to be fine. So I expect him to be back soon. I don't know about next week soon, but he'll be back on this team. And he's another guy that you need to get going. And I would like to see Harris get going later in games instead of earlier. Kind of have him finish the games off by long drives while the defense is already tired at that point. He did that well against the Dolphins, so that's how I want to see the running backs moving forward. All right, next up, stock up, stock down. Let's see who they got. Stock up, wide receiver Stephon Diggs. He's always stock up, right? The dude just brings it every game. Due to the nature of Buffalo's offense, which is to use the pass to set up the run, Diggs will usually make this list. Sunday against the Giants was no difference as he was a dependable target for Allen whenever he needed someone to throw to. Diggs is having another excellent season and is a huge part of Buffalo now having a 4-2 record. I agree. The guy brings it every single game. Um, Absolutely love what Diggs brings to this offense, what he brings to this team. Um, you know, Going back to the offseason, y'all know that how I felt about the whole thing with Diggs and how he handled the situation, um, which I still think he didn't handle it totally the right way, but I totally understand where he's coming from. And I said that in the past. I just didn't feel like he handled it right. But neither did Sean McDermott and neither did Brandon Bean or any of the coaching staff. And I understand his frustrations now more than ever, especially with the offense. There is no identity. It just seems like we get lost one week to the other. Um, and it's frustrating. And it has to be frustrating for a player like that who puts it all out on the field to see this team struggle. And not only that, he knows what's around him, he knows the talent around him as well. There is talent on this team, guys. You may not see it because we're not utilizing it, but they're there. Trent Sherfield had a very good year last year for the Dolphins. Go back, look at the film. Nearly 500 yards receiving on a team that had plenty of weapons, and he still was involved, making good plays. He's sure-handed receiver, a big receiver, has speed, and we don't utilize him. Hardy, when healthy, and he's been healthy, is a good receiver. Is he great? No, but he has electric speed, and we just do not utilize him. We do not use his strengths. There's no jet speeds, no jet sweeps. There's no pop passes. There's nothing deep for Hardy. It's all basics, wide receiver screen passes when we do use him. It's a shame that Ken Dorsey can't find these players' strengths and use them in this offense. I expect a little bit more out of Dalton Kincaid as well in the 12 personnel set, deeper route trees, and he doesn't do it. He's not using Kincaid to his full potential, in my opinion. And I think that is why Stephon Diggs is frustrated. He knows this offense can be better, and it's just not there. And this year, it's man, it's really um, starting to become a problem even more because last year I thought we were clicking for the most part. We had a little, rough play down the stretch, but this year it seems to be just up and down and more down than up, especially the last 2 weeks. Just unacceptable. Um, Play calling by Ken Dorsey and in-game adjustments just aren't there. Anyways, next up, stock down. Wide receiver Gabe Davis. Davis did not have many opportunities to make an impact Sunday night against the Giants, as he earned only 4 targets in a game in which Allen threw the ball just 30 times. With that being said, Davis, who has been making big plays for the most part of the season, just wasn't able to find any daylight against the Giants secondary. Yeah, unacceptable, man. Davis has to play better. And Davis is so up and down, man. And one week, we praise him, and the other week we're talking about him like we're talking about him today, which is the dude is just sometimes irrelevant, right? Like, fumbling the ball. And I give him credit for trying to extend the play, trying to fight for extra yards, but you got to hold the ball. You can't put the ball on the ground. Um, and I just feel like sometimes he gets caught up in emotions as well. We know the Giants were playing physical. They were holding a little bit. They were trying to get under the Bills' skin, right? Making it a kind of a dirty game. And I notice in games like that, because there's been different games where defenses have done that. Gabe Davis gets caught up in the emotions. And I feel like that throws his game off a little bit. And Gabe Davis needs to just, play his game, stop letting players get into his head. Um, because he's a good player. When he's on, he's on. when he's off and thinking, people get in his head, defense is getting in his head, he's a mess. And you saw that kind of last night with Gabe Davis. All right, next up. Stock up. Cornerback, Teron Johnson. I love Teron Johnson, man. Aside from the controversial play that sealed the win for the Bills over the Giants, Johnson had a big game on Sunday. Johnson, who had 15 tackles and 9 solo, was crucial in pass coverage as the Giants had some struggles in their passing game as well. Johnson did what he had to do to prevent Giants tight end Darren Waller from cleanly catching a pass to beat the Bills. I got to be honest, a little bit of a hold there. And, the Giants were holding all night long. So we were due because there was no penalties on the Giants. And trust me, they were getting away with a ton of holding. And we were due. We were due one. Yeah, it sucks, if you're a Giants fan, because that was a key part of the game. That could have been a win. At that point. But I will say I understand the Giants, side of it as well, because if that was the Bills, and by the way, we've been there before when we played Tampa in 2021, I believe it was. And Stephon Diggs got his jersey pulled as well. No call. I get it. It's frustrating. So if the role was reversed and that was us and we didn't get the call, trust me, Bills Mafia would be pissed today, and we would be showing close-up shots of our player getting held on the jersey. So I get it, but I also understand that it goes both ways, and you guys got we're holding as well, a lot of holding in that game, a lot of physicality, but it is what it is. But speaking of Teron Johnson is one of the most underrated corners in the NFL, slot corners. Man, he is so good. I love what Teron Johnson brings to this team. And listen, Bean saw that a couple years ago when he made that extension, and I was like, I was a little confused because it was so early for him to get the extension. But I get it now. Like I really do. He's that kind of player, and I hope that dude is here to stay in Buffalo for a long time because he brings that juice, man. He's a hell of a player. All right, next up. Stock down, Leonard Floyd. I gotta disagree here. Floyd was part of a defensive effort that did a decent job of keeping the Giants' offense under wraps. Aside from a few mistakes made, as has been said before, until Von Miller is back to his usual self, which probably won't be for a while, Floyd has to be more impactful as a pass rusher. And he wasn't that against the Giants. I know he got a half sack. By the way, he's up to 6.5 sacks. I said when we signed him, that dude is going to get at least 9 to 10 sacks this season. He's been averaging 9 sacks over the past 3 seasons, and he's already at 6.5. We're only 6 weeks into the season. He's going to get that. I didn't think he played bad this game. Did he play great? No. So I would say no stock down here. I would say just neutral. He put pressure on Tyrod. By the way, I told you guys going into this game, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna sack the hell out of this quarterback." No, like Tyrod Taylor is mobile quarterback, and you all should know that. He was here. He was our quarterback. He can move. He's a smart quarterback as well. He's not gonna make any dumb plays. He's gonna, throw the ball away or whatever he has to do is scramble away. Like he's not that's the way Tyrod is. He doesn't have many turnovers throughout his career. Um, so I didn't expect a lot of sacks, though I wanted pressure on him. And I felt like we did give pressure on Tyrod, and we did get some sacks in there as well. I think 4 was the total on Tyrod. So it wasn't what you guys wanted, the NFL record or anything, but we did put pressure. We did get some sacks, but I don't agree with the stock down on Leonard Floyd. I think Leonard Floyd's been a great addition to this team, and I felt like he played pretty good against the Giants. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. All right, next up, stock up, linebacker Terrell Bernard. Bernard has been getting better each week for the Bills, and now he has to make up for the loss of all-pro linebacker Matt Milano. So far, Bernard has done a great job of stepping up his game against the Giants. He was a critical part of keeping Giants running back Saquon Barkley from causing too much damage. Yeah, man. What more can I say about Terrell Bernard? Terrell Bernard has been a blessing in disguise, man. He really has, at least for me. I did not see this coming. If I told you so, I'd be lying. I did want him to be the middle linebacker to start the season because I just do not like Dotson or Klein. Um, and he's filled it wonderfully. I mean, honestly, he's done a hell of a job. I'm so proud of that kid. And I was wrong because I just didn't feel like um, you know, he would be our future middle linebacker. I thought he'd be a plug-in until we went ahead and drafted one maybe next season. But he's showing that he's more than capable of being a good middle linebacker in the NFL. So I'm proud of that kid, and yeah, he did a really good job against the Giants in that run attack with Saquon Barkley. So next up, stock down kicker Tyler Bass. Oh man, to put it bluntly, Bass had a bad game kicking the ball. While he was tasked with some tough kicks to attempt, both were 50-plus yard kicks. Bass was 3 for 3 on kicks of that distance coming into Sunday night's game. His misses did not cost Buffalo the game, but he has to be better in the future. And I agree. And I love Tyler Bass. And this is just a bad game. And it's stocked down for this game. But Tyler Bass, I have confidence in. He'll bounce back from this. He'll make some crucial kicks in this season at some point for us when we need it. But it was a bad game, both wide right. I think one was 53 or something like that. One was 52, but both makeable. He has the leg to do it. He's a better kicker than that. He just hit him right. And it did almost cost us the game because if he makes that field goal at the end, we're up 8. The Giants would have to come down, score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So, yeah, it would have made it more difficult for the Giants. And, Tyler Bass has to be better than that because there's going to be games, like I said, that we will need him to make these kind of kicks. And I hope it was just an off night. He bounces back from this, which I believe he will. And that being said, but yeah, it's stock down for this game for Tyler Bass for sure. I'll add a few more. Obviously, the number one stock down, who seems to be on my stock up, stock down list almost every week, is Ken Dorsey, stock down. See, he had to stock up against Miami 100%. He deserved it. But stock down the last 2 weeks, Jaguars and the Giants. A miserable game plan. Very few in-game adjustments. Still does not know how to use his personnel correctly. Doesn't know how to use his player strengths correctly. He knew going into this game that Brian Dable knew the Buffalo Bills playbook to a T. It's his playbook. Let's be real. Ken Dorsey should have known this. The players even said after the game, like, yeah, Brian Dable, he knows our offense. Like, it's basically his offense. Why didn't Ken Dorsey know this going into the game and do some adjustments, like sprinkle in some different plays or some, you know, different looks? So Brian Dable's caught off guard. He didn't do it. It was the same dummy down Brian Dable playbook. And Brian Dable loved it. He loved every minute of it because he told the defense coordinator, this is what you got to look for. Here's what you got to do. This is how we're going to play them because they're not going to do anything different. And we fell right into Brian Dable's hands. And luckily, because our offense, because we have a better team, we just found a way to win, squeak by. But it's unacceptable to score 14 points against a depleted Giants team that has injuries across the board, whose defense is ranked, toward the bottom of the league. It's unacceptable. And that falls on Ken Dorsey. So stock down for Ken Dorsey for not having any kind of game plan, or it did no kind of, nothing creative in this game to throw off Brian Dable at all. It's something has to change with Ken Dorsey because better defensive coordinators are going to work this team, and then we got to rely on our defense once again to win us games. And it's not going to be the case every week, guys. We're going to play better offenses than the Giants, who's going to put up better points, more points, whatever. And if we're scoring 14, we're not going to win many games. So Dorsey needs to do whatever he needs to do to figure out how to improve this offense and get players involved and start using his player strengths to our advantage. Like he's just not. So I'm gonna do a whole video about Ken Dorsey, by the way, because it's driving me crazy, bro. A guy that um, you know, that I had his back, since he was named OC, and I did videos about why Bills Mafia should give Ken Dorsey a break, and I can't anymore. I can't, guys. It's so difficult to watch this offense. If this was a bad offense and we had no quarterback and no help for the quarterback and no running backs and the offensive line that was just busted up, I'd understand. I would say, hey, Ken Dorsey's, look what he's working with, right? Bad cornerback, right? No help at receiver. Running backs are terrible. Offensive line is beat up. I would get it, and I give him I give him the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, you got to build a better team to help this guy. But what the hell, man? This is a good team. Guys, we have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We have one of the best receivers in the league. We have depth at receivers. We do. Gabe Davis, yes, sometimes he's hot or cold, but he's a pretty good wide receiver number 2. He is. Dalton Kincaid is the best pass catching receiver / tight end out of this year's draft. Trent Sherfield's coming off almost a 500-yard season for the Dolphins. Hardy, when healthy, has shown that he can be a good receiver who has electric speed. Dawson Knox, when he's not dropping passes, can be useful. He's effective. He can score touchdowns. He had 8 in 2021. Clearly, the guy can get into the end zone. James Cook, he has speed as well, right? Use him a little bit more. Latavius Murray, we know what he brings. He's a vet power runner. Why aren't you using him more? Like, why? We helped the offensive line, by the way, in the offseason. We got younger, bigger. Run blocking's better. Like, there's no excuse now. So I just am baffled why this offense is just stuck in the mud, no identity, not having fun out there. Seems lost at times. It's predictable. And it's just frustrating. But I'm going to go do a whole video on that. Anyways, anybody else have stock up, stock down that I am missing? I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I would like to throw out there for the stock up, stock down. I guess I'm going to do this. I'm going to give a stock down to one guy as well. And I didn't think he played awful, but Kaiir Elam. I did a video last week saying, here's your chance, time to shine. Going against a Giants team that it's not very good. They don't have the best receivers out there. They have a backup quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor hasn't played since 2021. There's opportunities for Kaiir Elam now to get back on track to make some impactful plays. And he didn't. He really didn't. He continues to get beat, not get back in the play. Now, he did one good pass breakup. That was towards the end of the game, a deep ball by Tyrod Taylor. That was nice. He had a little help from Hyde, though. But I felt like he got back in the play, even though he got beat, but he did get back in the play. But other than that, I just felt like he was getting beat all night long, And by the way, if this was against a better team or a better receiving corp, we'd be in trouble. Just like last week when he went against the Jaguars receiver. I forget his name, man. I'm going, lost my train of thought, but Calvin Ridley. You saw what Calvin Ridley did against him. So, going to this week against Shepard and then the rookie, I forget the rookie's name, the Giants. Let me go to the stats here. It was let's see here. So yeah, I'm sorry, not on him. I'm at Slayton. Slayton Slayton had 4 receptions, 69 yards, averaged 17.3 on 6 targets. And then Wandale Robinson, I believe is a rookie, had 8 receptions, 62 yards on 8 targets, 8 for 8. Uh, I mean, come on, man. Like you got to play better than that against competition like that. No offense to those two guys, but you're a first round draft pick, man. And I am concerned. I am concerned with this cornerback room. Y'all could call me crazy, or I'm just it's concerning, guys. It is. And we're going to talk about that tonight on Mafia Sports Report, Prime Time Bills Talk, with special guest, by the way, Matt from Bills News Consolidated. But we'll be on at 9:30 and we'll go over more of this game. So at 9:30, y'all want to be there and we'll go more in depth tonight. So, anyways, Bills Mafia, I love you. And as always, go Bills. I'm out of here. Peace.